Actually, it's a growing list of folks for actually helping make tonight possible. To our host, Harry Morton, give him a big round of applause for welcoming us into his home here on the Sunset Strip. I cannot stress how important businesses are to our community, and for them to open up their house for us tonight to welcome us for our kickoff. Thank you very, very much. To our co-host, who had to sneak in the back door. There's a lot of you that actually had to do that tonight. I know this. But you know what? Debbie's last song that she just sang about, that voice, there's a lot of voices in West Hollywood that still need to be heard. And we have folks, from what I hear in the rumor mill, that have received text messages or phone calls, you know, trying to encourage people not to get behind a new generation of leadership. And so for these people here, I'd just like to thank you for supporting and not caving in to people that tell you not to support change or to support a person who has very good ideas for our community. So without further ado, Mario Trujillo, Jack Osborne, Tori Osborne, Sean Tabibian, Bill Resnick, Mark Sackett, Jason Roundy, I know that you're here somewhere. I can't quite see you with the bright lights. Norman Waddell, Corey Conrad, Augie Gorbayev, Trent Miles, John Jacoby, Eric Harrison, and Brad Sears. Give them a big round of applause. Speaking about coming out of the Landavazo closet, I'd like to thank Councilmember Heilman for also being here tonight, and Commissioner Schmidt for also coming out from my traffic commission. For those of you who have not yet met me and who I have not had the pleasure to meet, I'm Christopher Landavazo, and I'm running for City Council West Hollywood. For those of you who know me best, you will know that, quite honestly, the core and my core values come from my family. And they are all here tonight. I want to introduce them because I am very proud of the fact that I come from a legacy of service, and that is public service. All the way from my grandmother Rose, who gave 26 years to the city of Gallup, to my brother Michael, who serves with the county of San Bernardino in the Sheriff's Department, who's worked diligently for the last 19 years. Give him a round of applause. My little brother, who happens to be the black sheep of the family. And when I say that, it's because we come from a law enforcement background. He is a firefighter for the county of Riverside and goes out every single day and helps people at their greatest hours. So give him a round of applause for 17 years of service to our community. My father, who many of you have met, they were the couple that were out here dancing to a joyful noise. If you wonder where my dance moves came from, right at table number 1. My dad has actually served with the City of Redlands as a public safety dispatcher for the last 20 years and just recently retired after having a massive heart attack and a massive stroke, which has left him a little impaired. And as a disabled American, I know that one of the things that we look at in our city is services that we provide. And coming from a background that allowed me to get involved with things like Special Olympics at a very early stage in my career, to having a sister with special needs, and now having a father who makes it seem very easy. His character, his spirit, his drive has always inspired me. And I look forward to taking that same passion and spirit that my father has and the service that he has given to his community, to bringing that right here to the city of West Hollywood and coming up with good plans that will support our community that is in the ADA community. So my father, Michael Landavazo, give him a big round of applause. And last but not least, my heart is my mom, Lucille. She has worked for 26 years in the business community. I think when I learned about the importance of business, it came from her. She worked for 26 years in cosmetics and sales. I learned how to talk to people because of my mother and the opportunities that she provided me at a very young age. For those of you who, I know a lot of you have already given, but if you haven't, I will tell you that she will be the person on the phone to you in the middle of the night and is the most diligent woman I'd like to share just a little story with you. We're at the EQCA Awards, and you know, they did this nice to-do about introducing all the people that were currently running in the county of Los Angeles, and they brought them all up on stage. And apparently I had missed this cattle call, and my mom, you know, I said, Mom, it's okay, don't worry, just have a seat, we're good. She manages to get up from the table, she walks all of the way around the horseshoe, she grabs Betsy Butler by the arm, and not necessarily knowing who Betsy is, and she pulls her over and she says, excuse me, but she's like, you did not introduce my son, Christopher Landavazo, who's running for City Council West Hollywood. About a minute and a half later, Betsy Butler is over at the table. She is apologizing profusely. And she walks back over, and I get I think the introduction of my life there at the EQCA Awards. And, you know, it's that determination that comes from this little woman here who stands at about 5 feet tall, who has just been not that tall. She's in her heels tonight. Did you see those things? She was ready to come up to Sunset Strip, I'll tell you that. Just an amazing woman who has, quite honestly, sparked a passion in me that has driven me to get involved with a lot of different causes. For those of you who do not know me, I'll give you a little bit about my background. I'm an 8-year Navy veteran. I served 2 times in the Gulf, and I loved every minute of it. I actually chose to leave the military service because of don't ask, don't tell. And it came at a time when the values, the core values that I was being taught in the military did not necessarily reflect the core values that were being implemented in our society. And so I may have not always been out on the front lines with regards to being active in the community, but I was doing it in a different way, which was impacting the way that people see the LGBT community from within. And I took that later on once I got out, after I said no to taking a commissioning program, and I got into law enforcement. And the reason was because I truly wanted to be able to help people. And it comes from a place where my family has been so steeped in this tradition of helping folks that I can't think of anything that I would rather do. And so when I stay up late nights, and when I'm, you know, working with Cops for Causes, which is an organization that I founded, which seeks to connect communities to law enforcement. It is their passion that drives me to do that. I transitioned into law enforcement, which has been, quite honestly, the best thing I think I've ever done. You know, being a city council member is not going to be much different, quite honestly, than what I do in a day-to-day basis. I respond to people's needs. I get a 911 call and I respond to people, and sometimes I'm making life and death decisions, and other times it's as easy as helping a little old lady across the street. But each one of those is as important as the other. And so it's that dedication to service and to helping people. And most of all, here in the city of West Hollywood, what I'm learning is that I don't necessarily need to talk so much, but I need to listen. Because there are people here whose voice has yet to be heard. And when I look at the civic engagement aspects of our community, I come from a fundraising background. I founded a nonprofit, and I know what it's like to start a small business. And in doing so, I know the importance of our business community because, quite honestly, the services that we provide here in the city of West Hollywood would not be possible if we did not have these amazing partners that open their wallets, their hearts, and quite oftentimes give of themselves so that we can create the type of city that we want to live in. I know that's a lot. I said more listening than talking.
We want to listen.
Thank you, Augie. But, you know, it's kind of going out and being a champion of our small business community, especially at a time when right here on the Sunset Strip, you know, I consider West Hollywood, quite honestly, the calling card to Los Angeles. And we underutilize some of the resources that we have in our city. And we also miss out on the opportunity to cross-promote because this is not just a gay city. This is a city that encompasses very, very strong, motivated, passionate women who we've only scratched the surface on engaging. We have a Latino community that is thriving. We have, you know, we have more African American and Pacific Islanders that are moving into the area. We have believe it or not, we have some straight people. I know there's some out there, so don't say anything. But quite honestly, it's about an entire community and the way that we look at engaging them. You know, I go and I sit through city council meetings and commissioning meetings, and you know, the thing that kind of I think is the most concerning is that you hear people at the last minute when the wrecking ball is already there saying, we didn't know. And in 2012, when we're still, you know, posting a public notice on a tree in the creative city that we have here with the level of education and influence and people that are motivated to do things, there are better ways that we can engage people, and that's just through the simple use of technology. And so we're looking at new ideas of creating civic impact zones in which we're able to do real-time outreach to folks that live in geographical areas so that they can't say, well, we didn't reach out. Because truly, people want to be a part. They don't want to be distanced from the city that they live in. And by engaging people in a way that allows them to be a part of that decision process making, you're going to have a city that is a city that you want to live in. It's a city that I want to live in, and it's a city that I proudly call home. Last but not least, there are other ways that we can look to curb things like our, you know, I wish I had a magic wand to say we're going to change all of the traffic issues in the city, and that, you know, by the waving of it, that we are going to actually be able to take care of these things. But quite honestly, it's always going to be difficult. But that shouldn't keep us from being the leaders when it comes to green technologies and supporting ideas like bicycles that will allow people to make the short commutes back and forth that will ease some of the traffic. We have a lot of issues, and like I said, more than anything, coming from my background, I have a lot of tools on my belt. To give you a quick story about how diligent I am, when I got out of the military and I transitioned into law enforcement, I went into education. And that's because I had 4 amazing women in my life. One being my mother, Lucille, who most of you have met tonight. I had my grandma, Margaret, who, quite honestly, was the faith platform on which, you know, I have my spiritual faith shaped by. I had my grandma, Rose, who I will talk about in just a second. And I had a woman named Carol Lawrence, who happened to be my 4th and 5th grade teacher. And through that, I learned that once you step through that door, I know this analogy has been used, that you have to reach back and pull people forward so that we train and educate leaders so that when I have served the community and I have gotten to that point where, you know, it is time for me to step down, that we have new leaders that are ready to step up and to fill those positions. Last but not least, the story that I don't share very often. In most campaigns, you kind of hit the ground running and everything kind of sails right by, and you don't necessarily think that you're going to have tragedies in your life. And I think that it's always been the tragic circumstances in my life that have shaped me the most, whether that be of a personal nature with family, whether that be what I see out in the field every single day. But on 9/12, right after we had done an amazing benefit up on the Sunset Strip, my grandma Rose, who was there, and many of you met that night, passed. And it was a time for me to kind of step away and to truly focus on what was important. The night before, this right here I carry in my pocket every single day, and it is a lock of hair from my grandmother. And the night before, she had come up to me because I had told her that I wanted to run for city council in the city of West Hollywood. And I said, you know, she said, well, how much can a person, you know, give? How much can I contribute? I said, well, the max is $500. And I knew that for my grandmother, who didn't necessarily come from great means, that was a lot of money. And this was a conversation that I think we'd had a month and a half prior. That night, she came up to me and she handed me an envelope, and inside that envelope was a check. And my grandmother handed it to me, and she said, I'm making an investment in our future.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. She said, I'm making an investment in our future. But it came with some conditions. My grandmother made me promise that I would always be a good man, number one. She made me promise that I would always care for seniors and those less fortunate. And she made me promise that I would never stop dreaming and helping to make people's lives better. And tonight, I am asking you to join the last of the co-hosts that were on that list, my grandmother, Rose, in contributing, supporting, and connecting to my campaign, and having your voice heard here in the city of West Hollywood, and to make that change. So I thank you very much for coming out tonight. I thank you for supporting my candidacy, for sneaking in the back door, for not listening to the folks that are sending you those text messages and the emails telling you not to support a new generation of leadership. I am ready, I am willing, and I am able, and I cannot wait to serve the city of West Hollywood. Thank you.